The following is Fact 37 from my article entitled, "The Facts Speak for Themselves." Former 9/11 Commissioner Max Cleland had a lot of interesting things to say. Between January and July of 2003, the Bush administration delayed the release of the 9/11 Congressional Inquiry Report until after the start of the Iraq War. Max Cleland says, quote, "The administration sold the connection between Iraq and al-Qaeda to scare the pants off the American people and justify the war. There's no connection, and that's been confirmed by some of bin Laden's terrorist followers. What you've seen here is the manipulation of intelligence for political ends. The reason this report was delayed for so long, deliberately opposed at first, then slow-walked after it was created, is that the administration wanted to get that war in Iraq in and over before it came out. Had this report come out in January of 2003, like it should have done, we would have known these things before the war in Iraq, which would not have suited the administration." End quote. After January 27, 2003, Max Cleland is disappointed with the start of the 9/11 Commission's investigation. Specifically, he is not happy that the Commission, quote, "will not issue subpoenas for the documents at once and will have a single nonpartisan staff headed by Executive Director Philip Zelikow, who is close to National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice." End quote. In May 2003, Max Cleland wanted the 9/11 Commission to investigate the false claims tying Iraq to 9/11 made by the Bush administration. He says, quote, "They were focused on Iraq, they were planning a war on Iraq, they were not paying attention to the business at hand," end quote. Zelikow, Keene, and Hamilton opposed this. Phil Sheenan will write, quote, "Even some of the Democrats on the commission were distancing themselves from him. Cleland knew he was quickly becoming a pariah," end quote. Cleland will say, quote, "It was painfully obvious to me that there was this blanket over the commission. Anybody who spoke out or dissented, whether against George Bush, the White House, or the war against Iraq, was going to be marginalized," end quote. In November 2003, the Commission and the White House were battling over how much access the Commission would have to Bush daily briefings. Cleland says, quote, "All 10 commissioners should have full, unfettered, and unrestricted access to all the evidence," end quote. In December 2003, Max Cleland is offered a, quote, "position on the board of the Export-Import Bank," end quote. He accepts. Before leaving the commission, he calls the Bush administration's stonewalling of the commission a, quote, "national scandal," and says, quote, "I'm not going to be part of looking at information only partially. I'm not going to be part of just coming to quick conclusions. I'm not going to be part of political pressure to do this or not do that. I'm not going to be part of that. This is serious," end quote. On October 26, 2003, Cleland tells the New York Times, quote, "As each day goes by, we learn that this government knew a whole lot more about these terrorists before September 11th than it has ever admitted," end quote. Did you ever hear of this before?